several camera interviews, some time on talk radio this afternoon. I spent a little bit of time, very little time, after my time on talk radio listening to the call-in comments. And I learned a number of things. Cell phone use is governed by the Constitution. We have the ability, we have the right, if we seize your phone during a traffic stop, we can look in it. We can't. It requires a search warrant, but so much for facts. This is a very emotional issue. We have folks, and I've visited with a number of young people, particularly young people, who this is a part of their body. This is their life. And to ask them to even put it there, it's hard for them to do that. What people may not be hearing is that we're not saying you can't use the doggone thing. We're saying we just don't want it up here while you're driving. Driving is an important responsibility for all of our people, whether we're young or old. It's a very important responsibility. And when you screw it up, it doesn't just impact you. This has prompted an amazing discussion. I think, the question as Mike presented it, is this the right place at the right time? That's for you to determine. Tonight is for further discussion. I know you've had people talk in both of your ears. You got the little white angel person and the little black devil person, and they talk and give you conflicting input and feedback and help in making decisions that you have to make. The feedback that I've gotten from people has been about 50-50. There are those who they want to embrace me, saying, what a great idea, thanks for taking the initiative, why have we waited so long? And there are those that think I'm the reincarnation of somebody very evil for suggesting this in the first place.
Which may or may not be true.
I wear many
Right
hats.
time, right place.
People ask me if they can call me chief. Well, they call me a lot of things, but that's okay. It comes with the territory. And we are regularly tasked with thinking outside the box. How can we be more creative in providing the services that we provide? Some have said, you have no right climbing into my car and telling me what to do. And I have to stop them and say, wait a minute. This has been a long-standing thing. When somebody once upon a time invented cars and it started interfering with horse traffic and they were going too fast, they put stop signs and speed limit signs up and all kinds of other control measures so that it was more safe. I suppose a lot of horses died during that process. And people with public radio and the talk radio today, afterwards one guy said, so what's one life? Holy crap! Ask that person's mom. So, okay, that's about as emotional as I'm going to get about that. But what I ask that you do, let's kick this can down the road a little bit longer. Let's allow this conversation to continue. I think it's very healthy, not just for Mission, but for the region, for the state. This is not John Simmons' effort to try to get attention. I am not an attention-grabbing kind of guy. This is John Simmons' effort to promote discussion, and gee, what if we actually do result in, let's promote some discussion. Absolutely, and that's healthy. Communication requires both sending and receiving, and that's what this prompts. How many people have you been contacted, how many constituents have contacted you that wouldn't otherwise? It's a good thing. You've got their phone number, you've got their email address, you know how to reach out to them when you have questions for other things. This is healthy. This is the way government. They say that talking on the phone is similar to, your reaction is similar to as if you're impaired by alcohol. Your responses are slower, both stopping and starting. You don't pay attention as much. We have the ability here to further this discussion, whether or not we actually enact it. Let's give it another month to talk about that. But at the very least, I would suggest that you do that. It's your call, though.
Like everybody else, I've gotten some feedback from people about it too. And a lot of people I've noticed when they first hear about it, people that when they're talking to me are against it, their first reaction on that is kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, you're infringing on my personal liberties and that type of thing. But then the people that are for it usually have some really good experience that they've been through as a reason why they would be for that. And then I think these other people, just like I said, you need to continue the conversation, because the people that originally and give the knee-jerk reaction to, hey, wait, oh, hey, you're cutting in my personal liberties. Give them time to think about it. Give them time to go to one of those websites and look it up. I think you're going to sway some of those people, you know. And as you guys all know, and some of you already talked to me about it, you know, I'm kind of for this thing, but, and it's from personal experience and stuff. But I'd like to know, you said you talked to a lot of people. I have a feeling you've talked to a lot of your police officers. What's the feedback there? Are you getting the 50-50 from them? Or are they 80-20 one way or the other, or what's the deal?
I have not solicited a lot of their feedback. I have not. They don't spend a lot of time in the station. They're pretty busy right now. We have a lot of other things going on in the city. So we will certainly have that discussion. They're good about, you know, when the boss says, go forth and do great things, they salute and go forth and do great things. It's a very serious thing.
It is.
And people need to take it seriously, and they're very
do.
casual about it right now.
They do need to take it seriously, and that's one of the reasons I like the discussion, because it does make you stop and think. Have there been any accidents? I know texting is already a state law.
Right.
So that's a moot point. Have there been any accidents, though, in Mission due to texting or use of cell phones?
I will tell you that when people are at fault in an accident, I won't say that they lie to us. They're not very forthcoming with information about what they were doing right before the accident.
So you don't know?
The city of Manhattan had the same problem. People ask statistically what percentage of people involved in accidents are texting or on the phone. They don't. It's extremely challenging, almost impossible to garner that information, because if somebody has had an accident, they're going to say, no, of course I wasn't distracted. You know, they're going to blame it on whatever, just reacted slowly. So
People get distracted all the time.
they do. So how do we chip away at that? We may have an opportunity.
So it's not common practice to
We
get a
asked.
search warrant for?
No, it's not. That's a pretty involved process.
Well, you just hear very often on the news that the train operator was sending a text, the bus operator was
Right.
reading the text.
NHTSA investigates those things, and they have folks that do that sort of stuff. Not the local PD's not doing that. Now, if we have a felony or a fatality accident or significant property damage, we would probably assign that to a detective for follow-up. But we
So
don't
it's
do
only
it.
then
We don't
that-
do it with every traffic accident. Don't have the resources to do that.
Other comments for the chief?
I did have had a person who wanted me to tell you, she thinks, and in case she's listening out there, that it's a revenue grabber. And $110 is a killer, and
Right.
yeah, they were very, very, very unhappy, and I promised I'd say something.
Let me give you the rest of the story on that. Actually, I think it was reported on 2 stations as $111. Well, somebody asked me, both reporters yesterday asked, what's the fine going to be? And I said, the police department doesn't set fines. That's a process. The governing body looks at it, the judge looks at it. They figure that stuff out. That's not me. They said, well, what might it be? I said, well, an average speeding fine is about $70, and there are $40 in court costs added to that.
So, but
Somehow that came out to $111. So we have some math issues too. But, I don't know what the fine's going to be. In Montana, the fine is between $100 and $500. I don't know how they figure that out.
Wow.
Well, maybe once you get one, you won't get another. That's
Right.
one of the challenges we face with the primary seatbelt law, $10 fine. We've stopped people and they said, I'm not wearing my seatbelt. You can give me a $10 fine every day and I'll just keep paying it. So, you know, do we want people to wear their seatbelt and comply with the law, or do we want to just keep going through that process? The fine has to be enough to get somebody's attention, in my humble opinion, but that's a you thing, not a mean thing.
I'm glad you mentioned that seatbelt law. That obviously doesn't apply to motorcycles.
Well, you do
Does
need to
the-
wear your
Does
seatbelt.
the texting
The
apply to
texting-
motorcycles
yes, it
too?
does.
Helmets are not required.
Motor vehicle
Yeah.
operator. Yeah, motor vehicle operator.
This isn't about motorcycle men. Other comments for the chief? I appreciate the sincerity with which you brought it to us. I agree with your recommendation in terms of how we move forward on this. I've always said, if you're going to sit around this table, you got to be comfortable in the world of ideas, and it doesn't always mean we're going to take action on them. But maybe this causes the county, it causes the state to continue to reexamine this, because it's amazing to me, on an agenda that's a discussion item only, the brush fire that this created. And so in some ways, it was an unintended benefit, I think, so. All right, Chief, thanks for your time, appreciate it.
So what are we doing
And your
with that?
guidance?
It comes back later?
Do I bring it back next month for
It would be my
a
pre-
decision?
It would be my preference, quite frankly, only because I know Amy and I know what's coming down the pipe between now and the middle of October. Quite frankly, I would like to see this conversation delayed until we get everything that's going to happen between now and the middle of October behind us.
Okay.
Because we are just going to have,
You know, make this a little Christmas surprise.
well, no, I mean,
Oh, you're so excited.
and I guess that makes, a good point. I mean, if there is interest in bringing this back, I mean, I will tell you, my appetite isn't ready, I'm not ready to take action on this. If the choice is, bury it or delay the conversation for a few months, I'm okay with those two options.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not ready to take action, and
Sure.
I'm not ready to put us on an island. I'm just not, and that's just my opinion,
Are you looking for feedback from beyond the committee?
as
At this
always.
I'm sure. What you just said, I think I agree with, that this, if you use Mike Scalen's terms of right time, right place, I don't see it. I welcome the conversation. I think you're raising the consciousness, but using the word distraction, that comes to mind right now for us as a city.
So you don't think Mission's the right place? Or you just don't think this is the right time?
It's a it's the combination of both, and I'm not sure which one doesn't feel right to me, but something doesn't feel right is the right time, right place. Again, using the vernacular that was handed to us, and I think Dave expressed it well. We have a lot of other things on our plate.
Well, and it's not that I want to bury this either, because what we may decide is, look, we want to bring this back, and the action that we're going to take isn't that we're going to adopt an ordinance, it's we're going to go and talk to the county commission, that this needs to be a county initiative, because everybody needs to be playing by the same rules, or we feel strongly enough about this that the state of Kansas, in its wisdom, needs to take this on, right? So I'm just saying that there are a lot of ways that we can take action on this without it just putting Mission on an island and enforcing this. But also knowing what's coming down the pipe, the earliest I would like to see it back is November.
Got it.
That would be my preference. And if the committee is, I mean, Amy, you've got the insights. I mean, you good with that? Pat?
I think that's a good idea.
The focus on this is education and safety. And if folks have said, well, I won't know when I'm in Mission, when I'm not in Mission, well, then how about just staying off your phones on your drive to work and your drive home? Or better yet, switch to the hands-free option. Most of our phones have them. And very few people have the older flip phones that don't have that capability, and they're probably due for an upgrade.
That's exactly right. Most of these new phones are just
yeah.
voice activated. You don't need,
So, yep.
you don't even need to have it to your mouth.
Just pointing people in the direction of using the technology that's
The
available to
technology's
us.
there now. that-
Anyway, I will wait for guidance from Mike, anticipating that at the latest, November would be the next time we have that discussion. Okay, thank you.
I would ask that as you're accumulating data about cell phone use in the city, and whether it be horribly a fatality or anything, that you keep track of those.
We could update, Chief. I was thinking if you wanted to share any of those sites or any of the information you were talking about.
You bet. I will.
I would be interested in seeing it. And
Be
then
glad to
everybody
send
can
that out.
choose whether or not they want to visit.
Very good. All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, got a pretty aggressive agenda. Thanks for your good work. I think you got a lot done.
Is it after 9?
What's that?
8:30.
Motion adjourned?